August 24th, Quorum Court meeting to order. Ms. Curry, would you call the roll, please?
Justice Ash.
Here.
Justice Byrd.
Here.
Justice Quorum. Justice Fleeman. Justice Hinton. Justice Hepler.
Here.
Justice Jackson.
Here.
Justice McClanahan.
Here.
Justice McDonald.
Here.
Justice Mangat. Justice White.
Here.
That's 7. We have 7 Quorum Court members attending. We don't have a quorum, so we will proceed with the agenda down to the first resolution. So we'll go ahead and proceed with the approval of the minutes.
Judge, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes since we've all been provided with a copy. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ms. Met, would you give a report on the treasurer's office, please?
Our interest rate is 0.55 at Farmers Bank and at the First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas in Osceola for $100,000 CD for 1 year. Our sales tax that we received in July for the month of June was down just a little bit from the previous month, but it was still up for the month of July from the previous years. And so that was good. I don't know what it's going to be this month. We haven't gotten it yet for this month. On a different note, I did get an email, and I think the judge's office did too, due to the census return, our turnback money will be changing September, October. It'll be not pretty good. So we've been expecting that just in time to do the budget. So, and I don't have any idea, they don't have any idea yet what it's gonna be yet. And you also have your fund balance report in front of you. I have not moved, thank you, I have not moved any money yet into county general out of the CDs yet, but I have purchased a Mayfield CD right down here. And that's all, I guess.
Any questions? Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. Justice Ash, do you have a report on the personnel committee?
Yes, President. Our committee met on August 24th. This was, we talked about, the sheriff was asking to change a jailer's position to a transporter, which moved him from 12-hour day to an 8-hour day. We don't adjust the total yearly salary, so we had to adjust the hourly. And that was the extent of our business that day, except for we did recommend a hiring freeze through the first of the year. I have been contacted by Tony Stone, and we all know he lost his office manager recently. She's going to be very difficult to replace, but he needs to replace her. He also needs a dump truck driver, a road grader operator, because he's fixing to have one retire, and someone to mow yard, or mow with the tractor or zero-turn mower. She's a short person there. I told him that I didn't think it would be a problem, and we would mention that tonight, and I authorized him to go ahead and hire those 4 people. I'll take any questions that they might have, anyone might have.
Thank you, Justice Ash. Justice White, do you have a report on the Finance Committee?
I do, Judge. Generally, we have only one regular Finance Committee meeting a month, the week before this regular meeting, that we try to take care of most of our business. But we've had so many points of business here in the recent months that just seem to be dragging out that I had asked for an additional couple of meetings. We ended up having 3 Finance Committee meetings this month. The first 2 I had a chair, and the third one, which was probably pretty successful since I was on just as Jackson chair, But in the first one, we did an homologous decision. The reason I asked for that one was a couple of different reasons. In the assessor's office, he had an employee retire at the end of the year and had asked us if he didn't fill the position, if we take that money and use that money to give the other employees in his office that were at or below the minimum level on our JSEP comparative chart raises. And we had agreed to do that, but we had not exactly identified exactly how those raises would be spread out amongst those lower paid employees. So I wanted to make sure that we got that identified in the charts expressly in front of everybody so they could see who was getting what and why it was happening like that. Before we got to the regular meeting that Justice Jackson was going to chair, then this insurance settlement claim, or the claims from 2019, it's just been a heavy dark cloud over Mississippi County since the end of 2019. We've had $680,000 worth of identified unpaid insurance claims from our employees. And in Illinois, it's still not getting paid. We expect very good results out of that eventually, but it has caused our employees great grief. Some of them to the point of bankruptcy, some of them to the point of compromised continued health care, some of them to the point of having difficulty in paying other bills. So the county would like to step up and go ahead and identify those employees and their bills, pay those bills for those employees, and then rely on the litigation process to reimburse the county eventually. Last month, we started the process and we appropriated $200,000. But in discussion and talking and reflection, that $200,000 was just a drop in the bucket against $658,000 worth of bills. So I wanted to get back together and reappropriate or add additional appropriations. And let's go ahead and cover them all. If we get the payment process started, we didn't want to stumbling block where we paid a couple $100,000 and what do we do with the other 460? So we identified that we would like to add an additional 460 to the original 200,000. We expected to see that in the appropriation ordinance tonight with the lack of JPs here tonight. We won't get involved in that, but we will see that appropriation ordinance come up and we will pass that out. Dr. Quorum was there and wanted to talk about the Patrick insurance or the Patrick ambulance coverage that we have here in Mississippi County. It's been a great concern and not a very hidden concern of Dr. Combs, but we did want to discuss that, and we did, and the possibilities of what the county might do to help Patrick to extend coverage and better cover the south end of Mississippi County, try to bring them up to the same level of coverage that the north end of Mississippi County has. We're still in negotiations on that process. Then I did want to go ahead and discuss the budget calendar. At the end of the year, it's time to start our new 2022 budget process. So on September the 13th, we'll have our first budget committee meeting. The process usually involves meeting every Monday afternoon until we get a complete budget presented. We try to have that done by the regular meeting in November. The process includes starting with expected expenditures. We spend a couple of weeks looking at what kind of, anticipated revenues. What kind of money do we have coming in? What do we have to spend? You got to know how much you got to spend before you can expend it out. So we spent a couple of weeks starting September 13th on Monday to look at anticipated revenues. Then after those 2 weeks in the first regular report, the first Monday in October, we'll start the expenditure budgets. And I just wanted to give all the elected officials and department heads plenty of time to work on their new expenditure budgets and what they want for 2022 and have that ready for presentation first of October. The judge spoke to us about RDOT, Department of Transportation, 22 bridges into the county that should be worked on by the end of next year. And Judge, you said yourself that's more than we've ever done.
3 is the largest one that we could come up with, 3 in a project, so.
And we're gonna get 22 next year.
That's in that project. We got another project coming right behind it that's almost as big.
So we're seeing great things in Mississippi County. The personnel committee brought a recommendation to finance in that, first meeting, and that was regarding the $150 incentive that we would like to give the employees. $150 probably gets some vaccination. But $150 per employee if they'll get the vaccination for COVID-19. And we got, American Rescue Plan money for those types of purposes that will come directly from that money and not out of county general. And that was about the end of that meeting, Judge.
Thank you, Justice Wise. Any questions or comments for Justice White? Justice Jackson, do you have a report for Energy and Property?
Thank you, Judge. So the Energy and Property Committee met on August the 11th at the Annex Building. Basically, it was just an update of the courthouse again. There were no major budget updates. One thing that we did discover, the metal detector and the x-ray machine will come in under the $35,000, which is budgeted. The metal detector the county has previously had, it works, it can be used, and it can be adjusted to be ADA compliant. There was an OCLA pay act for $47,500 and a reliable construction pay act to CNI for $465,000, $509.57. Basically, at this point, the architect, Mr. Aaron Ruby, is working to just make sure that all the fine details are being looked after. The ceiling is being floated in the old courtroom and in the new courtroom. The marble is being cleaned. They're still projecting a October finish date. There's still, I was in there today, so there's still, the HVAC is still hasn't been turned on, but they're making progress each day. The elevators are in the progress of being installed, however, they have COVID, so if it happens, it's gonna happen, I guess. So, there was a motion made by Justice Ash to appropriate an additional $442,870.43 to the construction fund, which would leave us with an exact $4 million left in the fund unappropriated. Justice Fleeman seconded that and it moved on to the Finance Committee. There was some talk about the Osceola Dome. Again, Justice Ash had talked with Aaron Ruby about the dome, wanting to reassure everyone that the silver, what appeared to be white streaks, was actually just glare from the sun. When you look at the pictures up close, you can see that it's silver. There's no caulk on the dome. That's just the silver solder to make the joints. The only caulk that would potentially be used would be where it met the masonry. So everyone, again, most of the justices at the meeting felt confident that Renaissance had put on new copper and were satisfied with the answers that we received. If there are still continued citizens of Mississippi County that want the dome inspected, the county feels, or the justices in the meeting felt that once those answers are given and it is new copper, that they should be prepared to reimburse the county. There's a possible change order coming up for the AV equipment. Mr. Brownlee's, who was acting as a liaison in the construction, his contract is ended at this point. We did not renew it because we feel like we're far enough along. We can always call him back in if need be. The furniture, I think, has been scheduled to arrive after Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving, and that will, so when it's delivered, they do install it. So it's just a one-stop shopping. So there's a little bit of question about that. Again, there's $125,000 left in the contingency and $257,352.14 left in undesignated funds. We suggested that the circuit judges start scheduling court in the new courthouse as of February 1st.
Any questions for Justice Jackson?
Are we gonna get to have one meeting in there for regular court?
It's not, I don't know. Maybe. Well, I will say this, we were discussing that today. So in the new courtroom, I do believe that there will be a camera and some audio equipment installed. I think that may be in this last change order, where you will be able to televise. It'll stream nicely. So we would be meeting in the new courtroom, not the old courtroom.
Thank you, Justice Jackson. Justice White, do you have a,
Continued process?
Yes.
Sir. We met again, the first meeting I talked about, and we talked about the additional $460,000 appropriation for the employee unpaid insurance claims. We also needed to identify an exact process that would be accomplished with. And to do that, we needed to get our lawyers involved. So we have our county attorney, Jacob Holmes, that is directly responsible for representing the Quorum Court right now. But we have Jeremy Thomas with the county, our previous county attorney, who is contracted on the side in this federal litigation. And then we have our federal litigation attorney in Illinois, Dave Nichols. And we needed to have all three attorneys kind of working in coordination and meeting with us at some point to go over a specific plan of payment. And so we set up a new meeting, and we had it at 6 p.m. Thursday evening, August the 12th. And Mr. Nichols couldn't come all the way from Illinois, but we did do a Zoom meeting with him. So we had him available, we had Mr. Holmes available, and we had Mr. Thomas with us. And that was really insightful for all of us, because we could ask hard questions, and if there was any answers available, one of those three guys was going to have those answers. And I felt very good after that meeting. And we did identify and establish an unpaid health insurance claim debt settlement plan. And I'm not going to go through all the details of the plan, but you can rest assured that it is very specific, it's very direct. It covers both the county, the employees, the insurance companies, and I think it settled everybody's mind. We can go ahead and get these unpaid claims settled for our county employees. And if we are successful in federal court, the money will be used to reimburse the county. So that was the whole purpose for that second meeting.
any questions for Justice White? Thank you, Justice White. Do you have a report on the planning and development?
We did have a planning and development committee. I get so wrapped up in finance. Mr. Chitwood had asked us to have a meeting, and we've got a new company that's interested in looking at Mississippi County and coming to the north end of the county. It has the potential for bringing 225 new jobs to Mississippi County. It will involve a substantial investment on the company's part in site construction. They just needed a little bit of help from both the state and the county in securing their commitment to come. We're 90% plus there, but not 100% just yet. But we want to let the company know we are committed, and we'll do whatever it takes to a certain degree. So in that committee meeting, we have agreed that we will commit $300,000 for workforce training through A&C, the college, that will be specific to this plant's needs. And we've identified that we will commit and appropriate an additional $2.4 million of incentives based on 225 jobs at $12,000 for Mississippi County residents. And once again, we want to recognize we only incentivize Mississippi County residents at $12,000 on this project, and half that amount for Boot Hill, which would be Penn Scott and Duncan County residents. If they come from Craighead, if they come from Crittenden, the company receives no incentives. So we're only incentivizing those, and we are committed all the way up to the 225 jobs. And I believe if they came up with more, we would too. So we had hoped to see that appropriation done tonight. We'll see it at the next regular phone call.
Any questions for Justice White? Thank you, Justice White. Justice Burge, do you have a report on sanitation and solid waste?
I do. Thank you, Judge. We did meet on August the 16th. Basically, we reviewed the first 7 months operation of the landfill. It's going well. Been a good year for us. Everything seems in order, and everything is doing pretty orderly. We're at about 55% of the budget, so we're in line with the budget so far for the year. The second item we dealt with was we have a 2003 Ford Ranger pickup that has been there forever that finally was gave up the ghost. So we had to replace that, and that It's already, in fact, may already have been delivered, I'm not sure, it's due any time now. It was bought through, state purchasing at a cost of $24,923. And then we also have request James, and the judge, and JT, that pretty well handle the everyday operations of the landfill. Explained that we desperately need a small excavator. We have a large excavator, but it's very lonesome as far as moving it from one area of sale to another. And since we're spread out now, since we have completed the additional sale, that makes it even more troublesome. So, we voted to purchase a CAT 320 small excavator at a cost of $198,980. And, that's on order. Probably, they think are running probably in a few months. We do have it on hold, and we should be expecting that. It's gonna be very useful as far as ditching and all the other things that go on there. We, did complete the, finished paying for the new sale. It's completed. We've been about a little over $800,000 this year completing that. And it is open and operational, and along with the new Class 4 sale. And then we also have been talking in the past, in the last year or two, each time we fill up the sale, which normally takes from 4 to 5 years, and it usually takes about $2 million to open another sale. And we've been talking about trying to get ahead of the game a little bit and putting some money back in reserve. And so we decided to do that. The committee voted to put $250,000 in a CD to be applied to the next sale as time comes, or in an emergency can be used otherwise. And then we hope again at the end of December, if our finances are still in good shape, we hope to put another $250,000 over there. We want to put about $500,000 a year. That way, about every 4 years, we have enough money to open, sell, and pay for it. We won't have to borrow any money or get in the county general. And that pretty well covered what we had.
Any questions for Justice Burge? Thank you, Justice Burge. Justice Jackson, do you have a report for the Finance Committee?
So the Finance Committee met again on August the 16th. And at the beginning of the meeting, the BGRAA gave a presentation. They had extended an invitation to the justices prior to come out and look at the alert facility. So I think several of the justices, myself included, had gone out there to take a look at the alert facility. It's a 25,000 square foot building that is it's deteriorating at the moment. And so they're hoping to stop the deterioration. They have received or will be receiving $500,000 from the governor's discretionary fund, and have requested an additional $500,000 from the county. There was quite a bit of discussion whether this should come out of county general, or if this should come out of the economic development fund. After much discussion, the justices were in favor of the project, and decided the money would, made the motion that the money would come out of the county general fund, and money would come from a CD. Out of energy and property, there was a recommendation to appropriate the $442,087.43 back to, into the Reliable Construction Fund. The planning and development, there was the recommendation of the $2.7 million commitment with $300,000 available immediately for training and development. Then the solid waste, the motion was made to move $250,000 into a CD to reserve for future closing of sales. There was also the purchase of the truck that would come out of the vehicle fund, and the purchase of the excavator for $198,980 plus tax. We discussed the budget prep calendar again, and we again talked about the RDOT request from the city of Wilson to extend the road improvements on Lake Road. That money's already in the budget, so there was not any action that needed to be taken.
Any questions for Justice Jackson? Comments? Thank you, Justice Jackson. Justice Ash, do you have a report of the Roads and Bridges Committee?
Yes, sir, I do. Road and Bridges Committee met on August 20th at 1:30 at the Annex Building. Our main order of business was, to discuss the possibility of a resolution, which I think we'll vote on here shortly, to name or to dedicate, part of Arkansas Highway 120 as Jimmy Hart Memorial Road or Highway. Apparently this came from one of our legislators and some of the state police in the area. They had, already done quite a bit of legwork. As I understand, there's more that has to do, but the resolution has to come from the court asking that this be done. Then a couple of things we brought to your attention about some roads, and, I'm assuming we're still looking for the ordinance on exactly what kind of, easement we had for roads prior to 94.
Any questions for Justice Ash? Thank you, Justice Ash. We'll move on to new business. We have a resolution before us on the Jimmy Hart Memorial Highway. Ms. Curry, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution number R 2021-13. A resolution approving the designation of a portion of Arkansas State Highway 120 as Jimmy Hart Memorial Highway. Whereas Mr. Jimmy Hart has made significant contributions to the citizens of Mississippi County, Arkansas through his many years of loyal, dedicated, and devoted efforts, and whereas the Quorum Court of Mississippi County recommends acknowledgement of such loyal, dedicated, and devoted service by designating a portion of Arkansas State Highway 120 located between U.S. Highway 61 and the Mississippi River as Jimmy Hart Memorial Highway, beginning at the intersection of Highway 61 and Arkansas State Highway 120, near the southern border of Section 33, Township 14N, Range 11E, Osceola District, Mississippi County, Arkansas. Thence runs along said Arkansas State Highway 120 in an easterly and northeasterly direction along the southern boundary of Section 33, 34, and 35, and northern boundary of Section 36 of Township 14N, Range 11E, continuing along the northern boundary of Section 31, 32, and 33 of Township 14N, Range 12E, to the end of said Arkansas State Highway 120 at and or near the westerly bank of the Mississippi River. Now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Mississippi County, Arkansas, that the noted part of Arkansas State Highway 120, located between U.S. Highway 61 and the Mississippi River, shall be designated as Jimmy Hart Memorial Highway in recognition of Mr. Jimmy Hart's devoted services to the citizens of Mississippi County, Arkansas.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Is there discussion? Ms. Curry, would you call the roll, please?
Justice Ash?
Yes.
Justice Burge?
Yes.
Justice Kepler?
Yes.
Justice Jackson?
Yes.
Justice McClanahan?
Yes.
Justice McDonald?
Yes.
Justice White?
Yes.
Now passed resolution R 2021-13. We're gonna stop our agenda right there, but I would like to recognize Danny Quarry, that's a member of one of our clubs that are comprised of bicycle enthusiasts. I believe that would like to address the court.
I think I've been designated.
Okay.
Okay, if I stand.
Yes, come up here and would you state your name?
All right. Some of you guys know me, some of you don't. My name is Dwayne Cash. I'm a lifelong resident of Lila, Arkansas. Currently a melt shop supervisor at New Quarry Motto. Been there going on 26 years in November. Just a quick history and give you guys an idea of why I'm here and why we asked to speak to the court. I represent our local cycling group, Flyway Flatlanders. In 2005, I had an event where I was paralyzed from my chest down, told I'd never walk again. Had to figure out what to do. By the grace of God, I'm standing here today, and you guys wouldn't know it if I didn't tell you. So I started cycling for health, and represent 22 riders for Flyway Flatlanders. And you guys have probably seen us all over town, riding Highway 18, Highway 61, some of your local neighborhoods. Some of us ride a little faster than others. Some of us are just cruising, enjoying ourselves. But we're all there for health, get a workout. So as I stand here today, I'm representing 21. You guys know the name Clinton Foster? So Clinton was 3 foot away from me on Highway 18 on August 14th. He was struck by a car from behind. Very well lit, running radar, tells us when we got traffic coming behind us. We move over for traffic, we let traffic go by, and we resume our ride. As you guys well know, Mississippi County has 0 signs in this county along the road to raise awareness for motorists to consider that cyclists share the road. There's nothing. And so I'm asking, I'm pleading, can we get some help with maybe some signage in strategic locations in the county, along Yarborough Road, Highway 18. I know you guys, the way I understand it, maybe you can't do a lot in the cities. But we're asking for some help. And I will, full disclosure, let you guys know I've done some work with our State Chamber of Commerce last year for a year with Leadership Arkansas. Established some really good connections in that group of folks. I have a lady who is in the governor's office. She's reached out to some representatives there. We have bike law involved. Rachel Manning is going to be flying in here in about a month. Probably going to be requesting an audience. We want to get some conversation going around. What can we do today? We're not talking long term. What can we do today? We got signs that can be bought online for $40 a piece that say cyclists share the road and ask motorists to be aware. We've got shoulders on 61 that are plenty wide for bikes to ride on, but they're trashed. And so we're not riding, we're fixing flats. We're asking maybe we paint bike lane designations on those shoulders and commit to a street sweeper or something, cleaning those shoulders off so that we don't have to take the lane. Now, you guys may or may not know, but the state of Arkansas says that cyclists can take the whole lane. Obviously, we're not going to do that. Mr. Clinton was hit by a motorist who was looking down, setting his cruise control. Why would you ride in the lane knowing that the potential is there? I can tell you guys that 80% of the people that passed me, I put 9,000 miles on my bicycle last year. 90% of the people that pass me are looking at their phone or not paying attention. Just yesterday, I had a young lady pull up next to me with her right turn signal on at the Osno High School parking lot to turn in front of me. I'm riding 20 miles an hour and she comes up behind me, beside me, and goes to turn in front of me. Absolutely no consideration for what we're doing and why we're there. I've had numerous vehicles come by with the horn on at 100 yards and pass me at 70 miles an hour, 2 foot away, and I'm on the shoulder. I run radar, I run a rearview mirror, I can see them coming. I've hit the shoulder more times than I can count. And I'm human. I have wished that they would pull over so that I could have a conversation and maybe something a little more than that. I got a wife and kids at home. I'll start rambling if I go too long, those of you that know me well. But I'm just asking you guys, you have the power, and we have the money to do so. So can we please start the conversation, and let's get something going. Saturday the 28th, the Mississippi County Sheriff's Department has graciously offered to escort us from the parking lot next to Sonic in Gaza, where I met Mr. Clinton Foster for our ride Saturday morning. plan was to ride to the old gym and have some pancakes. We made it 11.4 miles. Mr. Clinton's life was taken by distracted boarders. We're gonna have a memorial ride. We're gonna ride to this site. Our company has helped us build a ghost bike. We'll place it at the site, and I pray that it stays there more than a day. Somebody could steal it, or it could get taken down. I don't know what's gonna happen there, but we're gonna place a memorial there. It's a life-size bicycle that's gonna be painted white. It's got Mr. Foster's name on it, his age, the date of his death. We're gonna do that to honor him. Clint's wife and daughters are gonna be with us. She's gonna get on a bicycle. And we're gonna finish that ride to the old gym. We're gonna order Clint's pancakes. Hopefully, we have a community that sees a lot of us, that sees how important this is, that we actually have police escorts, and then we're gonna make a big deal of it. And I'm thankful for that. But my hope is that it doesn't end there. My hope is that that bike stays there, that people stop and look, that you guys talk to your friends and neighbors about the crazy nuts that are wearing lycra, 50-year-olds riding down the highway in skin-tight suits. They're not doing it to show off. They're doing it for health. They're training for life. It's what I do. I can't run. I've got things that I deal with from my paralysis that prevent me from doing some things. But I can ride the hell out of a bicycle. And I got a lot of buddies that enjoy it. So it's not just a workout. It's camaraderie. It's respect for the sport. And it's so that we can stick around for a long time to help raise this community, to help our kids, to help this be a more attractive place to this business that you guys are talking about bringing in. Let's face it, we got a lot of 50-plus-year-olds that live in Lowell. How many young people do we have wanting to get here? I will tell you that I don't think we have any. They all want to go. I've got a 17-year-old daughter that tells me, Dad, there's no way I'm staying here. I want to go. There's nothing here. I know you guys are actively working to change that. I want to help. This is a tragedy, and that's why I'm here. Shame on me for not having this conversation with you guys years ago. It's never too late to start. And I'm just asking, whatever you guys can do to help, I promise you I will give every ounce of my time and energy and whatever you guys need to assist. And I've got a group of men behind me, Jeremy Davis and Danny Quarry, 2 of them here that could make it tonight. We all work different shifts. Mr. Cecil McDonald, Justice McDonald. We'll do whatever it takes. You guys just got to give us some help, some direction. And again, full disclosure, I have reached out probably over and above our local places. John Gwynn, the head of Better Roads or Good Roads, he's in Northwest Arkansas. He's involved in a lot of cycle advocacy. Rachel Manning, she's a director of Bike Law. They've offered to help. She's reached out to the Walton family for ideas. That foundation has been, you guys know Northwest Arkansas, right? They're freaking exploding. We don't have the luxury of having that kind of an environment, probably that kind of money, right? But we can tap into those resources, and I promise you I'm rattling those cages, and I will continue to do that. I'm not good at this stuff, so I promise not to go this long next time, but I really appreciate you guys' time and your ear. I really do. I can't say that enough. So this goes back, yeah, it's a national program where cyclists that have been killed on the road, they'll honor that cyclist with a bike, and it's usually an old bike that they just strip down that nobody wants to steal. They'll paint it white, and they'll usually chain it somewhere to the area. Our company, Nucor, has graciously allowed a couple of our teammates to make a life-size silhouette with our water jet and milling machine. and, it's a really nice setup. We also recognize that it could disappear the next day or overnight. So we've made a smaller one to give to Abby Foster, the wife, and her two daughters, so they can keep it in case the one we set out disappears, and it's just a small thing. And there's nothing that we can do really that's gonna make them feel any better, but it's a simple gesture. Is there anything else you wanted me to mention? Guys, I'm sorry to be so long-winded, but it's a lot. And I know you recognize it's weighed heavily on me since last Saturday, so I'll carry it, and I'm not gonna let this go, so I'm just asking you guys, can I partner with you? Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Cash, and we will be, we'll be visiting with you soon.
Thank you.
In fact, Justice McDonald and I have had a standing meeting, every Wednesday, to discuss, bicycle trails, in Mississippi County, and we are currently developing 3 trails. The COVID pandemic has slowed us down. We should have been through some time ago. We have been given permission by the St. Francis Levee District to incorporate our Mississippi River Levee as a bike trail. And I believe that is going to happen fairly quickly once we put the infrastructure in there to make that passable. And once we do, we'll be able to go from the Missouri state line unimpeded almost to the Louisiana state line. You can go right now from Marion through to Shea County. And it won't be long that there'll be others that address this as well, and I foresee St. Louis to New Orleans a short time away. Like I said, Justice McDonald is a bike enthusiast as well, and by the way, I follow all these guys and many, many more in Mississippi County on an app on my phone, and Mr. Cash doesn't know it, but I look every day and I can see where he's been. So, and I have to say, I talked to Justice McDonald that he was telling a story. He had hooked up with some bicyclists from west north, was it Minnesota?
It's from Duluth, Minnesota.
Minnesota, and so he hooked up with them and got his bike, and he just rode to West Memphis with them. And I asked him, I said, well, Justice McDonald, you ride all the way to West Memphis, how do you get back? And he looked at me funny, he said, I turn around. So 100 miles for these guys is not unheard of at all. And I'm talking about in the morning before work. So Mississippi County is moving in that direction. We hope to get there very soon. We've got one of the bicycle gates already fabricated, and it's in the judge's office right now in Mississippi County. And we hope to have many more of those constructed to make this bikeway successful in a very short period of time. So we are working towards that. And like you mentioned, Northwest Arkansas, I haven't counted them, but I'm going to say there's at least a dozen, I'm going to say premier bike trails, and probably many, many more. And as many in the Little Rock area. When we started this, we had a lady that had contacted me and lives in Fayetteville, and she actually drove here to Burdett on 3 different occasions to help, and didn't charge a penny. She's a consultant that did several in Northwest Arkansas, also in Little Rock, and she's also one that developed the bike trail that moves across the Mississippi River into Memphis. And in fact, Justice McDonald, I guess you can go all, there's bike trails all the way out to the east side of Memphis, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is something that we just missed out on. But we hope to catch up. And we'll also speak with you about the signage and the painting. And is there any questions?
Yes, is there a place where individuals can send in a check or a sign?
Did you understand me? I'm sorry.
We're going.
Is there a place where an individual can send in a check to buy a sign for y'all? Can we send in the $40?
Not at this time. It was just a quick Google search by one of the guys in our group. And so to answer that with 100% surety, I can't. But in our discussions, we will absolutely find a way to make that happen if that's something that we're willing to do. Yeah, I'll take one sign, I'll take a half a sign, I'll take whatever, but I'll need to get you a affirmative answer.
Okay, thank you.
And that's gonna be a little bit of a process. There's some track work, just as, the highway that's being dedicated tonight to Mr. Jimmy Hart. So I'll get with you over that, and in fact, all of you are invited to the meeting as well in the morning. It's at 10 o'clock, I believe.
We at 10:30, we at 10.
10 o'clock at the judge's office here in Burdett.
Okay.
Or 10:30, which do 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
And if you'd like, we'd share what advancements we've made in that area of establishing bike trails in Mississippi County, which are much needed.
Tomorrow morning?
Yes. I appreciate y'all coming. Oh, and you mentioned Manning. I couldn't hear the first name that's coming from out of town. Was it Manning?
Rachel Manning. She's the national director for bike law. Kind of ironic, she's also representing Miss Foster. I was put in touch with her by my contact in the governor's office because of the work she done in Northwest Arkansas.
And the governor is extremely big on bike trails. He and the state of Arkansas has promised $20 million if the Waltons will put in $20 million, and they agreed to, and that'll be funding some of these areas that's on this side of the state. So we're excited about that. Is there any questions for the Flatlanders?
Flyway Flatlanders.
Any comments? If not, we have reached the end of our agenda for tonight. Is there any comments on any other business? Justice White.
Judge, in regards to the appropriations that we were talking about in the healthcare, the unpaid claims from 2019, we're still looking for more information and contact with Performance Health, and wondered if either you or Attorney Holmes had any recent contact from Performance.
I got it right here. Mr. Holmes handed that to me. So we've got the data that we requested to import into a spreadsheet. So I haven't looked at it yet, obviously, it was just handed to me. So we'll go over this data and see that it's compatible to what we have and it's the information we need. The treasurer and I have been speaking, we spoke several times this week on that area, and also with the treasury work that we're doing with the American Rescue Plan. So we will put our heads together, work together, and see if we can't get this started soon. So I think we've got what we need.
One more question then. Dr. Cohen had kind of made arrangements and secured 5 respirators that were available to us through the state for this Packard ambulance project that we've been kind of working on. But I think he's had further contact with the state this week, and those 5 may not be available now unless you've already secured them.
I believe that I have. I spoke with our emergency management director yesterday. When was he in? Was it yesterday? Yesterday, and there's a fee that comes along that. I think it's $75 a unit, and I asked him to secure 5. There was only one question: that are those the same respirators that will adapt to an ambulance and not just be fixed at a hospital room? He is going to get me that information, and then we're going to go from there. But the information I have is that we are going to be able to get them.
They were worth like $43,000 a piece. It was over $200,000 worth of equipment that the state was willing to provide to Mississippi County.
Yes, that is correct, yeah. And it's gonna cost us I think it's $75 a unit, so. we are moving forward on that, and I'll keep you up to date if there's any news that comes in, all of you. And, we're excited about those additions to Mississippi County and, the improvements that we're gonna make with our ambulance service. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?